Ladies and gentlemen, it is Johnny TCG back with another One Piece card game video. Today I am really happy to bring you some OP08 gameplay with the one and only Charlotte Pudding. Now, I've always been very anti-Big Mom Pirates just because I've hated playing against Charlotte Katakuri and I've always hated 10 drop Big Mom. But after giving this deck a try, I might be turned to the dark side. This deck was so much fun. I'll do a quick deck breakdown, and then we'll go into a giveaway, and then we'll go into some gameplay. Let's jump into it. For those that don't know, our leader ability is when attacking, you may flip the top two cards of your life face up, and when you do that, you get to ramp a Don as rested from your Don deck. This allows for some early game ramp to help you get to your big bodies sooner. In a way, similar to Red Purple Starter Deck 10 Luffy. Now, boy, does this deck have some big bodies to play. The main big bodies here are 10 drop Charlotte Linlin, one of the best cards in the game. This card is absolutely brutal, especially when chained back to back. One thing to note is that this card isn't just like an automatic win. When you play this, you are really not addressing your opponent's board, and so you are kind of leaving yourself vulnerable. If they have a lot of characters on field, this isn't always an amazing play. Don't get me wrong, often it is a great play, and it is an overpowered card, but it is not the cure-all drug that you may think it is if you don't play yellow. But that's just my 2 cents. We have 10 drop Ace from OP07. This card is definitely really good, but I found myself in situations where I wasn't able to fully utilize it. Was trying to keep my life total a little higher than say you would with an Enel, where you're okay to go really low, and so I wasn't always in a position, even if I had this in my hand, to play it and then get the rush ability, which is a huge part of it. So just a thing to note, I could see this going down to 2 or 3 and maybe bringing in some other top end like Yamato or 8 drop Katakuri, but for now I'll leave it at 4. This brand new card from OP08 is Charlotte Linlin Don -1. You may trash one card from your hand, then you're able to put one card from the top of your deck onto the top of your life, and then put one of your opponent's characters at the top or bottom of their life face up. I could not believe how often this ability came in clutch for me. It's a big lifesaver. It is great kind of stalling out games where you're still looking for more top end. Your opponent may have a wide board and you want to send something back to the life where it's not getting value for them. I really appreciate this card and might even bump it up to 4. The last card that we'd consider top end is the 7 drop Charlotte Linlin from Starter Deck 7. We all know and love and maybe hate this card. On curve, it's great. Towards the end of the game, it's not amazing, but I think when you ramp and you're at 7 Don and can play this a little early, it's a great choice. Taking a look at the rest of the deck list, we have Mr. Tube on Clay. I'm running 4 of them. I really like this on turn 2 to let you ramp again. Combining this with your leader ability is great. You can ramp 2 times in 1 turn. Charlotte Katakuri, this is great on your turn 3 play if you were on the odd curve. If you're on the even curve, it's still good, but even better when you're on the odd curve. You're able to flip the top card of your life down, gain a Don as active, and depending on if you took a hit so far, you may be able to use your leader ability again and therefore ramp again. Viola, I really like this card, especially on turn 2. You'll swing with leader and then throw this down to flip your life back down, making it so you can use leader ability next turn as well, getting yourself another ramped Don rested. Charlotte Flampe. Charlotte Flampe, for the most part, is a 2K. Occasionally I've played it out, and I do have in one of my games a crazy situation in which I used it. I really want feedback on if that was a good play or a terrible play. I think it was kind of an interesting one. But most of the time I'm using it just as a searchable 2K. Charlotte Pudding. I like this card. Playing it turn 1 is absolutely great. Look for, ideally, your 10 drop Big Mom, but sometimes you need to look for counter too. That's why we got Charlotte Flampe. It occasionally does whiff, which is not a good feeling, but sometimes it is what it is. Charlotte Parasparrow, I like running 2 of these. If your opponent wants to address it by KOing it, you are going to get a free search, and we are looking for those Linlins. What's there to say about this guy? A 2K and an absolute menace of a trigger. Frankie, same thing, 2k counter, pretty good trigger. Their trigger is very situational. If you told me you swapped him out with a Big Mom Pirates 2k counter, I wouldn't call you crazy. I might do that just because then it would be searchable. We're going to claim the One Piece. This is a one-drop event searcher. Look at the top 5 for an Animal Kingdom or a Big Mom Pirates card. I saw a lot of deck lists that had this at 4, which is interesting. It just goes to show that you're really looking for that 10 drop and the bigger bodies as soon as possible. Hakai Ocean Sovereignty for 6 Don, -2. If your leader has Big Mom Pirates or Animal Kingdom type, KO 2 characters with a cost of 6 or less. This is good against a deck like Dofi that's trying to flood the board. It's definitely a worse Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, and would probably be better in an Animal Kingdom deck where you're ramping up with Onigashima Island. But as a 2 of, it's fine. It might not be in my final list by the end of OP08, but for now it's cool. Then last but not least, we have the You Are the One Who Should Disappear. People have nightmares about this card, getting it triggered off life. It's just a solid 0 counter, and if you get the trigger on your bottom life, then it is divine that you are meant to win that game. Before we go into the gameplay, I do have a quick Don giveaway. This is a custom Big Mom and Kaido Don taken from the author himself, Ichiro Oda. He published this illustration. I am not claiming to be the artist. I am just making a fun custom fan project. If you want to win this custom Don, all you have to do is like and comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will send it to one US-based commenter for absolutely free. All you have to do, like, comment. If you're feeling generous, subscribe. If you're not feeling generous, I won't push you, but I would appreciate it if you did. You're tired of me yapping, roll the gameplay footage. Our first game up is against the Red Zoro from OP01. I am not super confident in this matchup. Word on the street is that Pudding loses to heavy aggro decks, and so I'm a little nervous. With no red-purple law in the meta in the West, Pudding may have some better success, but I imagine it'll face a similar problem with Zoro. I'm going to start my turn by swinging 6 with Leader, using Leader ability to flip the top 2 cards in my life. The plan after this is to play out the Viola and put both of my life cards back to face down, and therefore I can use my Leader ability again next turn. I also have the Mr. Tube on Clay that I can play, and so I will be double ramping next turn. They're going to play out the OP08 Tony Chopper. This card is busted. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and play an animal card rested. They play out the Tony Chopper blocker from EB01. Not only is that on play, that is also when attacking. They're going to play out the Nami as well and draw another Chopper, and now they're swinging 5,000 at me, and I'll just take that. We get the Mr. Tube on Clay. 6 Don to work with. We love to see the ramp early. I'm going to be able to go 8 with Pudding, and using Leader ability, I will ramp another Don, bringing us to 8 juicy Don that we will be able to play 10 Mom next turn. They have built up a decent board. I'm lucky I have a decent amount of 2Ks in hand. 4 and then 1K is really good. Even still, I'm nervous. They are going to be able to pressure me. They do have that Tony Chopper that will allow them to bring out more animal cards. 5,000 with Magura. I'm going to give them the 1K. Going to block out of the attacks that I can. Counter out of them. Pardon me. They're going to play out the Hiking Bear, which is an absolute ridiculous name. Giving 1 Don to Hiking Bear, they can power up Tony Chopper, swing for 7 at me. Now I have to decide whether or not I want to give up 2Ks. That doesn't sound good to me. I'll take this hit. We get the Charlotte Pudding as expected. And now 6,000 with their leader. I will give them a 2K here. We're going to start our turn by swinging into Tony Chopper. I probably could have and should have swung into Curly to Don here. It would have required more cards to counter, and I imagine they will have the counter to get out of 2 5K swings into Tony Chopper. So that was a questionable play on my part. 10 Don, we're going to go with the Big Mom. Gain a life, trash one of their life. While that is That does feel great. I did not address their board at all last turn, so that is not ideal. They're going to swing 3,000 into Mr. Tube on Clay. It is tempting to save him, but he'll be removed eventually this turn, so I might as well let him go. It is exciting that the face down card could be a trigger that would be helpful, so we'll probably take at least one hit this turn. 7,000 with Tony Chopper. I'm thinking I should take this. Not sure if it really matters too much though. I could use the zero cost event along with Charlotte Pudding to get out of this, but I might just take the hit and see where that lands me. We do get the Frankie. Now, Frankie is a great 2K to have in hand, but I'm actually going to use his trigger ability so that I can hopefully draw into some bigger bodies for next turn, because as it stood, I didn't have anything to play out. Using Frankie, we did draw into the Charlotte Linlin. We would have drew into that next turn, but at least now we could draw into another big body next turn. 5,000, we are going to counter out of that with the 1,000 Charlotte Pudding counter. And they still have a leader swing to go. And they'll swing 7,000. I'm debating on whether or not I should use the zero cost event. I decide just to block out with Viola. I think that was the right call. Didn't want to trash any cards from my hand or use two 2Ks. We're going to start off our turn by swinging 5,000 into the Hiking Bear. Not swinging into the Tony Chopper because they will be more likely to counter out of that. Now we're going to swing into the Tony Chopper with Big Mom. They give us that, which is great. And now it's time for another 10 drop. Slowly chipping away at their life and their board, but they still have a decent amount of characters. I am not feeling calm, cool, and collected right now. They're going to don up on some of their characters. They might be trying to swing into the Big Mom and use this Chopper's effect to lower the power. That is a bold move of them. I am going to be able to save it, so I will counter out of this. I think they should have went into my life, but it is what it is. I wonder what cards are in hand, why they decided to do it like this. Now they're going to go 6 at me. I could counter out of this, but they won't be able to go for lethal here, and I should have lethal, so I will let a 2K go. They're going to swing 5,000 at me with the other Hiking Bear, and I'll let this hit, see what I can get. The Charlotte Flampe, nothing too special. And then they play out the Blocker Chopper, which is kind of awkward. Now I'm at a really interesting point. Let me know what you think about this play in the comments below. I don't have anything to get rid of the blocker. I don't have any big bodies to play. I decide I'm just going to start by swinging 12,000 into their rested Chopper. There's no point in going for lethal because they have the blocker. I'm pondering if I should use Charlotte Flampe and get this 9-drop Charlotte Linlin. It's a little risky, but at least it'll get one of their characters off the board. And so that's one less threat to swing at my life. Don't like the idea of losing a 2K from hand and then having to trash another card, but it might be the move. They let the Hiking Bear go. They let the 12,000 power hit from Big Mom go through. This feels really risky and questionable, but I'm going to do it. We'll play the Charlotte Flampe, take our top life of 9-drop Big Mom. We draw the 7-cost Big Mom. In this situation, the 9-drop will be better. We are going to trash the 7-drop, gain a life, and then we'll put the Tony Chopper at the bottom of our opponent's life. This is huge. Now, depending on what they have in hand, they still could come away with this. 2 Kitten Killers would make things real awkward. They're going to throw one down on their leader, power up the Curly Don, swing 5 into me. I do have the counter for this. I am very lucky with this counter right here. I've got 1K. Now they're going to go 6K. I am lucky I have a second counter. They're going to play out the Dr. Kureha Searcher and then just concede. They had two Rush Zoros that would have been enough to get them the game had I not countered out of those hits. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes your hand's bricked and sometimes you're blessed with counter. GG. We just barely got that W against the Zoro. Fun game. Now it's time to face off against Green Black Perona from OP06. A very fun leader, if I say so myself. I get to choose the turn order, and I am going to choose to go first. I am not sure what the ideal order to go in for this deck is. So far, I've been going first and have liked it, but if you think I should be going second, let me know. I just decided to keep this hand. I don't have a turn 1 play, but on turn 2, I will be able to play down Sparrow and then swing with leader, ramping a Don as rested. Then next turn, I could play out a Bond play to ramp again. 2 Don for them. We could see a Momonosuke. There we go. We could also see an Otama, depending on if they search with this Momonosuke or not. If they do search with the Momonosuke and get the Ryuma 4-drop, they will probably get rid of my Bon Clay or Parasparrow pretty easily, but that is what it is. 3 Don for me to work with. You know what's coming. We're going to swing at the Momonosuke. Flip our 2 top life. We do get the event at the top of our life, so that's a free search we're going to be able to do. They immediately rest our Parasparrow and swing into our leader. I am going to take this 100%. I get to activate a trigger and do a little search. We see the Charlotte Pudding, which would be cool, but we also get the Hakai Ocean Sovereignty. From OP08, we're going to take that just because we might need to get 2 characters off the board if they flood it with Ryumas. They kill the Parasparrow and we're able to search up a Charlotte Flampe, which is a nice 2k counter to get. We're already at 6 Don on our 3rd turn. We're going to start with 5 with leader. They're going to 2k out of that. Then we're going to do this. Mr. Tubon Clay into Parasparrow. This is great. They'll only be able to use leader effect once to rest one of them, most likely the Mr. 2 Bon Clay. They could KO it with other means, but one of them will likely stay alive. Either way, we're getting value from both. The Bon Clay allowed us to ramp, and the Parasparrow will let us search if it is KO'd. We set ourselves up very nicely for the next turn, being able to play a big body. So far, we do have the 9-drop Linlin from OP08 in hand, and then we do have the 10-drop Portgas D-Ace from OP07 in life. They're going to swing at 10,000 at me with Ryuma. I imagine they would have played a Borsellino or another Ryuma if they could. I swing 5 at the Momonosuke and use leader ability, which I did not need to do. That was a misplay. It is funny though, I do have a "you are the one who should disappear" at the bottom of my life. So I will be able to stay alive in extra life when that day eventually comes. But did not need to reveal that to my opponent. I'm going to swing with 5 into their leader with Parasparrow. Now for 9 Don, I will be able to play Charlotte Linlin. Going to return a Don. Going to trash a card from my hand. I have a couple different options. I go with the Hakai Ocean Sovereignty, just because at this point I don't think I'll need it. I'd rather have the counter from the other cards. And I'll put Ryuma at the bottom of their life. 5,000 at Parasparrow. I decide to counter out of this. They still may KO it with some sort of cost reduction shenanigans, a Sabo, a Gecko, another Ryuma, but might as well try to keep it alive a little bit. We are at 10 Don, so we will be able to play the 10-drop Ace next turn, even though it won't have Rush, it still will heal us 1. They play down the Momonosuke, do a search, and find a Ryuma once again. They're going to Ice Age my Charlotte Linlin, which is not cool in my book. They KO it with Ryuma, which is not ideal, but now it's our turn. We've got Parasparrow on board, we've got a leader swing, and then I will decide between playing the 7-drop Linlin or the 10-drop Ace. Ace would get more value if I wait later on in the game, but Charlotte Linlin will be more easily removed, so I kind of need to do some deep introspection and thought about what I want to do here. I'll start out with 5,000 from Parasparrow and a Momonosuke. I'm thinking that Portgas D-Ace is probably the better bet because it will require more for my opponent to get rid of him off the board. I used leader ability by accident, just revealing my life yet again. Why do I keep doing that? The good news is that we do have a Charlotte Pudding. If they swing at life this turn and we allow it to go through, we will be able to search up a Big Mom Pirates card. Next turn, we're looking for a 10 drop. That is our best big monster for the most part in this deck. They go for the Parasparrow, letting me search, and I do find the 2K Charlotte Flampe. I don't know if I approve of them getting rid of those Parasparrows because so far it's given me two 2Ks that I still have in my hand. 6K from Ryuma, I will take that. They play down the Momonosuke and the 9-cost Zoro. This is a little awkward. We did top deck the Big Mom, which is very nice. We're going to start out our turn by going 10,000 into their Ryuma. They let it go. Now we're going to swing 5,000 with Pudding. They 2K out of that. And now we're going to play 10 drop Big Mom. Now, because our hand has so much counter, I actually think we're going to be alright with this Zoro. Oftentimes, if you don't have an immediate answer for the Zoro, it's GG's and your opponent's going to win. But we've got 4 2Ks, a 1K, and a 0-cost 3K counter event. So we really can protect our board and our life pretty well. They're going to start their turn with a Momonosuke search and get the Otama. The question is, will they swing at life or will they swing at my rested Portgas D-Ace? Or will they do something else and play out some crazy spice? They are going to use the Otama Searcher and find the You Can Be My Samurai. 12,000 with Zoro into my ace. I am not going to let him go just yet. I am going to 3K counter out of that, trashing the Pudding. Debatably, I should have gotten rid of the 7-drop Linlin just because that has no counter, but that'll be a decent card for next turn, so that's why I decided to keep it alive this time, or keep it in hand. Another swing in the ace, and I do have the counter for that. If they throw all the Don on, I won't be able to counter out of this next one. But if they keep the 2 Don up for something else, then I will be able to defend out of this next hit. I'm really hoping they don't just throw it all on Zoro. And yeah, they decide to just throw it all on. I would have been able to get out of this if I didn't get rid of that Charlotte Pudding. So, potentially questionable decision by me. It is what it is. I am going to counter out of their 5,000 swing from leader because I need to be prepared to survive the next turn with Zoro still on the board. Now, they concede, which I don't agree with. They probably thought I had another 10 Mom coming or something. What I was going to do that turn was probably play down the 7-drop Linlin and then swing into Momonosuke most likely. With leader, they would have given me that. Then I would have swung 15,000 with Linlin into Zoro, and they would have to have given me that. Oh. Then they would have played out next turn maybe a Gecko Moria play, but I think that we were pretty safe. GG's. How'd you like the games? I am having so much fun with this leader. Being able to ramp and play a 10-drop Big Mom on turn 4 is absolutely ridiculous. This deck does have its challenges at times, which I'm still trying to work through. I'm still new with the deck, but let me know if you have any suggestions for it. I would love to hear your thoughts on the deck, thoughts on the gameplay, thoughts on life. What's the point of it all? Is the earth round? Is it flat? Now I'm just talking crazy. Thank you for making it this far. If you've made it this far, you're a real one. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm coming from you from a studio apartment kitchen / office / game room. It's everything all in one. Have a good night. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.